Welcome back to the channel Civic Education Minds. I am Teacher K. Today we're going to look at poverty in Zambia. So we're going to define poverty. We'll look at the types of poverty and how poverty can be measured. Now, what is poverty? Well, poverty can be defined as lack of access to basic needs. We can also say it is a condition of being poor. When we look at the United Nations, they define poverty as a lack of income and productive resources to ensure a sustainable livelihood. So those are some of the definitions that we find. There are a lot more definitions that we can find out there, but these are some of the definitions. There are two types of poverty. The first one is relative poverty. Now, this is a condition of having fewer resources or less income than others within a given society or country. Here we are saying poverty is not the same everywhere. When we compare the poor people from one country to another, we'll find that the definition of poor or a person living in poverty is different. Let's say, for example, we take a person that is living in a developed country who is poor. We compare that one with the person who's coming from a poor country who is poor. We'll find that their definition of poverty is different. Why? Because when we look at the one coming from the developed country, this person is able to enjoy, for example, clean water, better health facilities, and maybe even education system. They are able to access better laws. Now, when we compare with the one coming from the poor country, when we talk about employment, it's kind of exploitative. Their wages are lower. That's why we are saying poverty is relative. Then the second one is poverty is absolute. So absolute poverty is the second type of poverty. This one is extreme. It's abject poverty. This one threatens the health or the lives of people. It is characterized by malnutrition, illiteracy, poor surroundings, high infant mortality rate, and also low life expectancy. So this one is it's to the extreme. So those are the two types of poverty. Then we look at how poverty can be measured. Now, there are a number of ways that people have generated over the years of how we can measure poverty. So we start with three perspectives that have been put across. So we have one, income perspective, we have basic needs perspective, and three, we have capability perspective. What is income perspective? When we look at income perspective, we are saying we look at how much money this individual or household is earning at a given time. Is that money enough for them to survive on? If we look at, for example, living on $1 per day, is that enough? We have this poverty data line, which is saying the average household income that is required to purchase basic foods. How much money do they have for them to meet their daily food needs? So, of course, we're not going to look at, for example, shelter, education, and health. We are just saying, do they have enough money for them to be able to meet the needs that they have? If not, then we're saying these people are living in poverty. Then we have the basic needs perspective. With this one, we are saying if requirements for a minimal acceptable fulfillment of human needs are not met, then we're saying these are living in poverty. So you find that someone does not have access to the basic needs like food, healthcare, education, clean water, and even clothes. So we are saying these are living in poverty. Others have used the capability perspective. Here, what we're trying to say is a poor person not having the ability to be able to fulfill their needs. Does this person have the ability to participate in their community? Do they have the freedom that they need? Are they able to enjoy, for example, food, adequate food, clothing, shelter? If not, we are saying these are living in poverty. Are they able to consider their life as a life of value? Or do they think that their life is worthless? Then we look at how the United Nations Development Program, UNDP, measures poverty. So for them, they look at poverty in terms of deprivation, where we deny something to someone. So, one, they look at life expectancy. Deprivation of a long life, healthy life, which is measured by life expectancy of about 40 years. So, different countries will look at their life expectancy. We have Japan, which is the highest with about 84 years. That's their life expectancy. Then we have other countries coming in second, third, which is about 79, others 77, and so on. The higher the life expectancy, the better the country economically is. The lower the life expectancy, it means that country is living in poverty. Now, they also use knowledge deprivation, which they measure by illiteracy. So, how many people have access to education, to the education system? And if they do, how many people are able to read and write? If they are able to write, can they understand what they are writing? Are they able to understand what they are reading? So, they use illiteracy to measure poverty. The other thing that they use is they look at a decent standard of living, deprivation, in economic provision, which they measure by the percentage of people lacking access to health services, safe drinking water, and adequate nutrition. So those are some of the things that the UNDP look at using the Human Poverty Index. So having looked at the HPI, I want us to look at the Central Statistical Office. This is a government department and it looks at census within the country. So it's the one that conducts census, and it also collects and analyzes data on the living conditions of the people of Zambia. It measures poverty by looking at a poor person and defines this person as a member of society who is unable to afford minimum basic needs. Now we talked about basic needs. Then it also looks at the basic food basket for a family of how many? 6. So when they look at this family of 6, they also look at how much they need for them to afford food in a given month. So they determine this by the poverty datum line. We also talked about this one. So that is about poverty. We have looked at what poverty is. We have also looked at the different perspectives of poverty and how poverty can be measured. So thank you for being with me. I'll see you next time.